Good evening. Tonight, City welcome the new Premier League champions to the Etihad. It is Manchester City versus Liverpool. Welcome along to We're Not Really Here. As you can see, this is the team arriving a little bit earlier to the stadium. Big game ahead. Joining me tonight in the studio is Joleon Lescott and Kyle Walker. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you all. We've got Raheem Sterling there, the big man, Kevin De Bruyne. Just having a little check of his phone there. Making their way to the stadium. Now, this is the show that is all for you. It is all for the fans, trying to bring you as close to the action as possible. And in just under an hour's time, the two teams will be gracing that pitch out there. We've got so much to get into before that, though. Thank you for joining us. My name is Spellman. With me, Kyle Walker, Joleon Lescott. Gents, how are we?
Good evening, all. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Nice to be at a game for once, to be honest.
That's it. It's the first time we're going to have some live football. We're actually watching it in months, and I'm so excited because it's Manchester City, it is Liverpool, the champions from last season, the new champions as well, and I know that these are two of the best teams in the country, but also in Europe as well, so it's going to be a great game of football.
Absolutely, we're very fortunate to be here. Now, it was kind of, we were talking, I remember at the end of our last game, of course, with now there not being as much pressure on the game now that Liverpool are the new Premier League champions, whether this would kind of be a bit of a dud game, but do you think that'll be the case, Joleon?
I don't think it will be. Top professionals, you want to win every game, you want to showcase as much as it hurts me to say and see that Liverpool are champions. City players, you want to prove them that you're obviously equally as good as them on the day, but to kind of get your own back on them, obviously earlier in the season when they played each other, the result wasn't probably as close as the performance should have been. I think a few dodgy decisions went against us that day, but they'll be up for it today and determined to win this game.
Let's have a look at the teams then that are going to be starting on the pitch tonight. Kyle Walker, what have you got for us, sir?
So I've got the Manchester City first team for us all right here. So starting in there, Edison, then we've got Kyle Walker, Aymeric Laporte, Benjamin Mendy, and then we've also got Rodrigo, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, and Gabriel Jesus up top. And then on the bench, we've got Bravo, Stones, Zinchenko, David Silva, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Cancelo, Otamendi, and also Tommy Doyle on that bench tonight. So he may feature, which would be incredible for City fans.
Oh, it would be absolutely amazing. And already two names that stick out there to me as well are our two young lads, Phil Foden and Eric Garcia. So a lot of trust there from Pep to put them up against what is the best team in the Premier League this year. Yeah,
definitely. I think we've seen it early in the season, and since the restart with Eric, I think he's kind of proven to Pep and he's gained his trust over the year. I don't think there's any question of Phil's trust with what Pep has in him, but I think the circumstances with Leroy potentially leaving, I think that has proven that there's an opportunity now for Phil to fill that void, and hopefully he does that tonight.
I think it's going to be quite exciting for the youngsters now for these last games in the Premier League, building up to the Champions League as well. We've got a semi-final in the FA Cup, which is going to be incredible. It's so exciting, and this is a perfect time for the youngsters to show the world and everyone at Manchester City what they can do.
Well, let's hear from the man who's chosen that squad. Here is our boss, Pep Guardiola, with his pre-match thoughts.
First of all, Pep, we saw that horrible challenge on Eric Garcia, or that horrible injury rather, so good to see him back involved tonight. Has he come back quicker perhaps than you expected?
No, he was okay after 4 or 5 days, but the protocol said there had to be 10 days off, and he was training the last 4 or 5 days good, so, and we decided to play.
Good. For many different reasons, tonight is an unusual game. Can you put it into context for us?
No spectators. That is the most special thing still. And we play against the champion, so we need 2 victories and 1 draw to qualify for the Champions League next season, and a real game and against a real good opponent to see how is our moment for the semi-finals against Arsenal, a game against Madrid.
Is there no thought of wanting to lay down a marker for next season, or proving to the current champions how strong you are?
I think football life changes week by week, so of course we want to do a good performance against this team, but next season will be new season and new targets. So in the Premier League we have a champion, and there are 5-6 teams to qualify for the Champions League next season.
So given all of that, what sort of game are you expecting?
I think both teams want to play, both teams want to attack. Liverpool put their skills, their way they play. We're going to try for our way, so yeah, I think it will be a nice game.
Jurgen Klopp said he's hoping and he thinks this could be the best game so far behind closed doors. Do you think he might be right?
We'll see after the game. I think both teams want to try to attack, but we will see. So I think every manager before the game have an idea how the game is going to be. But apart of that, nothing else we can figure out, imagine what's going to happen.
Thanks, Pep. Thank you.
So mentioned there, of course, that both teams are going to attack, and with City's defence, there has been a question mark over it really for the season. Do you think that defence can withstand the attacking prowess that Liverpool do have?
It's going to be difficult, let's be honest. Liverpool score a high number of goals throughout the season. So it's going to be a tough task, but with Laporte back in there now, obviously I'm a lot more confident with that setup. But going forward as well, City pose a threat, and it's not necessarily have to control Liverpool attack. If City have long spells with the ball, that is as good as defending on the edge of your box kind of thing. So hopefully now they can control the tempo of the game and create lots of chances for themselves, which in contrast nullifies Liverpool's threat.
There's one player that's on the bench and isn't starting, but for me has been one of our best performing players since we've come back, is Riyad Mahrez. Do you think we're going to miss what he's been bringing to that right-hand side in tonight's game?
Definitely. I think that was probably a surprise. I'm glad to see Phil in the team. But in regards to recent form and since the restart, as you're saying, like Riyad has come back and it's like he's just not had any gap and any break, and he's kind of hit the ground running, and he showcased what level he was at before, and the consistency is still there. So that would probably be the one surprise, that he's not starting. But as you said, it gives Phil a perfect opportunity now. We want to see him in the big games. We want to see him get minutes, and now he's here to showcase what he could do against the best team.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I was going to actually say that Riyad Mahrez has been incredible, and it just shows that we've got this calibre of players on the bench, and actually we can bring them on if we need to. And that's something that I think Manchester City we can say is very special about this team, is actually the strength in depth, but also the calibre of player they can bring off the bench when they need someone to maybe change the game, which we might need to do against a team like Liverpool, because they are world class. We've seen what they can do in the Premier League, also in the Champions League, and on the world stage as well. So it's good to have those players on the bench, and as you can see, the man in charge right there, Jurgen Klopp, he's come to England. He's been here 4.5 seasons, and he's been incredible, and these Liverpool players will do anything for him. And I think that's what's been so brilliant to watch with Manchester City and Liverpool over the 2 seasons, is the bar is being raised because of them, Joleon. Yeah,
definitely. I think what separates not just the teams, but the managers apart from the rest is the temperament of the managers. I think if you look at the players that play for both of these managers, they want to give everything. I'm not saying other teams don't have that, but the kind of the way he embraces the team, Jurgen as well as Pep, they kind of, we've seen it after the cup final last year or early in the year. Then he goes on the pitch and he's critiquing Raheem's game, and it's a genuine embracement of wanting to improve you. I want to get the best for you, and I think that's what separates these two managers apart from the rest, is that they have the knowledge, which we expect because the manager at the top level, but also the kind of empathy and humility to kind of care about the players and show it, and not be embarrassed to show it and embrace.
I was reading an interesting interview this week with Gundogan, of course, who has played under both managers, and he talked about the similarities that you've mentioned there, but also the differences when it comes to the game, in that Klopp will focus on that kind of getting the ball and getting to the goal to have a shot as quick as you can, whereas Pep is more control it and move up bit by bit. I was just curious, Joleon, if you had a choice, which manager would you prefer to play under, or would have suited you best, do you think?
I think probably Pep's way would have suited me best. I'm not saying you wouldn't enjoy Klopp's way, but pace and that wasn't my game. So let's just play, keep possession, get a recovery in. And I think that's probably, in a similar way, probably enhances Gundogan's attributes. Obviously, he can play and he can obviously get box to box, but in terms of his actual whole-round game, he looks like someone that wants to be on the ball and kind of dictate the tempo of the game, which in Klopp's team, they're not known for their midfield to do that. They get the ball as forward as early as possible in the right way. They're not obviously just going long for the sake of it, but they have the pace up there to kind of cause any team problems.
Yeah. Now, we're speaking about Liverpool. Have you got the team for us, Kyle?
I do indeed. So the Liverpool starting 11, we've got Alisson in net, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, and then we've also got Fabinho, Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum, Mane, Salah and Firmino, and that's the starting 11 for Liverpool. So as you can see, one player I want to highlight there, they've got them on their Twitter picture. He looks quite scary, Virgil van Dijk. As a centre-back, fellow centre-back, Joleon, looking at someone of Virgil van Dijk's calibre, looking at what he can do, everyone's saying he's the best in the world. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I think he's definitely in that conversation. I think what has not helped him, but kind of set him apart is that the level's probably not as high as what it's been in the previous years. I think like when it was Vincent and when there was Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Vidic, there was 6 or 7 world-class other players, centre-backs in the Premier League at that time. So there was a bunch of them. So you kind of probably didn't recognise or appreciate any individual in particular because of that, where at the minute I think there's probably Virgil van Dijk and Laporte that are kind of world-class centre-halves in the Premier League, so it's easier to recognise him out of the two, especially when Laporte's been injured a lot of the season. But in regards to his talents, you can't deny the fact that he has all the attributes you need as a footballer, not just a centre-half. I think if you look at his attributes, I don't think you would actually, he stands out in regards to his pace and his ability on the ball, but he has everything. His decision-making is second to none, and he's kind of always in the right position.
Now, we've heard both of the starting 11s. We want to hear from you guys as well. We want to hear your thoughts on those. So make sure you are tagging us and make sure you're using that hashtag WNRH, and we'll be able to get them all up a little bit later on air and talk about all your reactions to those starting 11s, because seeing the quality of the players that are going to be gracing the Etihad tonight, it's going to be an incredible game, Cal.
It absolutely is, and it's one that I'm, very, very excited. I think as all football fans are, it's always a clash that any supporter can get on board with, because you do know they're going to go toe-to-toe and for me play the best style of football in the Premier League. But what is it, do you think, Joleon, about Liverpool that kind of unnerves City? Because it is the fixture for me, and I think if you look over the last few seasons, that they kind to seem to be, that one team that always gets under our skin. What is it about them that causes us so many problems?
I think their style. I think if you look at other good teams, they play a similar way to how we want to play, and the best team tend to win at playing that style. So if someone, like we've seen with the Arsenal game, if you come here and try to play that style, we will beat you at that way, because we are the best at doing that. Where Liverpool's style is not similar to ours. As you said, it's more direct, but in an effective way. So you have to respect their pace, their ability. And if they do need to kind of take a bit out of the game, they can do. But their style is so unique to the way they play. I'm trying to think if there's many other teams in Europe that play that way, that don't tend to want to play out from the back and just kind of get the ball forward as early as possible.
I'm trying to think. I remember, maybe not this season, but there was a Napoli team that came to us a few seasons ago that was quite similar. They had, I think, Mertens, and you had Cavani up front, Lavezzi there, Hamsik.
Yeah.
They were very fast moving forward. How do you then counter that, Joleon, as a defender? Because I think that's obviously not that but
Yeah,
Pep,
it's easier said than done.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
But what do you look to try do? Joleon, get out there, mate. Go strip up. You've got this.
Yeah, lace them up. But no, I know what you mean. And again, it's easier said than done. But Liverpool love to press high. And I was doing some work the other week, and I seen the highlighted and how kind of organised they are at that aspect of closing down the next pass. So I think if you nullify that threat by going direct, matching that up, but it's not so easy doing that when they've got someone like Virgil van Dijk and a settled back four. Like, for me, their back four is as settled as anyone's in the league has been over a number of years. They kind of got 3 out of the 4 that play every week, and then there's obviously someone that comes in there to fit alongside Virgil. So they kind of know that their understanding together is key to what their success is about.
Now, we've just seen some pictures of Alisson getting out there on the Etihad to warm up. We're going to see 2 of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League in action this evening, in Ederson and Alisson as well. But Joleon, for you, how has that role of a goalkeeper changed? Because you were used to obviously playing just in front of that goalkeeper, have them scream all their instructions of what they wanted you to do as well. But they've changed how goalkeeping is seen in the Premier League in this country.
Yeah, definitely. Especially for Ederson coming in as an unknown. I didn't know too much about him. Obviously, he was a proven goalkeeper at Benfica, but they've come in, and I don't think they've surprised us in regards to saves and shot stopping, but their kind of control and the respect opposition teams show them in possession is remarkable. Normally, growing up, if it goes back to the goalkeeper, you close him down as fast as you can because you know he's going to give it away. He'll give you back possession with a throw-in or something like that. But these, they got the ultimate respect by, he's an extra man, so just respect him and let him play the pass where he was going to play, and then we'll kind of combat that. So I think that's the biggest respect compliment you can pay these two, and it's the fact that they don't get closed down.
Is one man, Ederson, that I would love just to see for 10 minutes in a game in centre midfield. Just, you know...
But I think he did play centre midfield up until he was like 12, 13.
Yeah,
I think he actually played there, and you can actually see the composure. And it's not just... I think there was half a mistake against Chelsea, but he can play them passes, so you don't say, don't do that. You say, well, that was surprising kind of thing. That he's actually give it away.
As a Man City fan, I can tell you at times it's definitely scary to watch him doing that and to take that extra second to look for the pass. But when he does play that pass and he can beat every single opposition player, and then he finds Sergio Aguero, Raheem Sterling, anyone out in that space who's quick enough to track down the ball, it's just beautiful to watch. And one player that actually we want to talk about is Raheem Sterling, and someone that he's come from Liverpool, he's here at Manchester City, and when he gets on the end of those Ederson balls, Kel, I mean, it more often than not ends in a goal.
Yeah, it does. Although I did want to ask you, Joleon, and you know we're going to get into kind of his City career so far, but there's been a couple moments for me, and this is just me personally speaking, where it feels like the decision making hasn't been quite right. I recall the one at Chelsea, you know, when he kind of came in and just missed that kind of cut back, and if the chip goes in, it's great, but it didn't. And that's not the first time I've seen that. Do you think that's just the final key thing?
See, for me, the wrong decision is because the outcome didn't look as we wanted it to look.
Right.
But yeah, I still agree with you. He should have passed it because it didn't go in. But I think the confidence and in his own ability now makes him shoot. I think previously he overhits the pass. Mm-hmm. And that's what we would have questioned. Like, that's unfortunate that hit the post and didn't go in. Yeah, he probably should have passed in hindsight, and it's easy to say that now. But I think the belief in his own ability has come through with the amount of goals he scored, the contribution he has, and I don't see that as a negative. The fact that we didn't win that game, and I think if we score that opportunity, we go on to win the game, of course. But in regards to the outcome of that, I think it was down to that decision was down to his belief in his own ability, and I think that's just flourished underneath Pep. I think he showcased. Now he's realised I'm faster than everyone, but I don't need to run my fastest to beat my opponent. Yeah. I can run just faster than the opponent, and it still gives me the amount of time I need to compose myself and make the right decisions. And I think he's doing that in abundance now.
You can see it as well in how many times Pep has picked him. In fact, Raheem has been picked more times for a Pep City team than any other player. He's been picked 186 times. How has Pep improved Raheem for you since he's come in then?
I think his positioning. I think he's simplified his game. I think we've seen it a few times when Raheem's wanted to showcase his ability and Pep's gone mad, and we've gone, wow, he's gone, just be effective. We don't need to see how good you are with doing all that stuff. If you continue to do what we've talked about, and I think Mikel Arteta needs a lot of credit for that as well. I don't think it's just been Pep. I think he spent a lot of time with him, working with him, and making him understand you are faster than most people. Just be in the right position, and your finish that you will get, the tapping at the edge of the box, or the back post, will be simple for you.
Now, the goal that we've just seen there is his goal that he scored against Newcastle just over the weekend in the FA Cup. But actually, that was Pep's 555th goal that we've scored here at Manchester City with Pep Guardiola, and that just says a lot, doesn't it? We know that we have high-scoring games, but for Raheem Sterling to manage to get that one and to do it in that fashion, what a goal, what a strike of the ball it was. It shows his confidence and how much he's come on under Pep.
Yeah, definitely. The only thing I would say is that I want to see that in the Premier League now. I don't think he scored for a few months here. I know we've had a lockdown, but there's been a number of games he hasn't scored in the Premier League, so hopefully he can kind of combat that tonight. But yeah, in terms of the amount of goals Pep's brought to the club and the style, is great. But on the flip side, there's going to come times when you need to be able to rely on the defensive side of the game. You're not always going to be able to outplay every team. So there needs to be occasions when you can withstand pressure for, say, 30, 40 minutes of a game and just kind of rely on the defensive side of it. And not just the defenders, the defensive side of the team's game and structure to kind of get a result, which I don't think we've seen a lot of it under Pep.
No, I mean, and I think particularly it's been highlighted this season that if you remember that press that we had and we still do have in the locker, it's not been as present in games this season for me, I don't think.
I think it's hard to do that. I think we've seen it. I think we've seen it definitely against Newcastle. I think from the first minute you actually seen the kind of intensity and the determination to win the ball back as early as possible. But in regards to doing that consistently for a number of years, it's really tough to do. And obviously players get older and it's fatigue does kick in mentally, physically. So, and especially all these lads are international, so they're not getting the break that you kind of believe that players do get. Even though you're switching off at the end of the season and we all get to enjoy our summers, these players have to go on international break and then they come straight back into. We've seen it with Raheem. He literally finished the World Cup. 2 weeks later, he was playing against Arsenal, but he's one of the fortunate ones that Pep said he could play every week, every day if he needed to.
Now, that's something I wanted to just focus on, was the international side of things as well, because as an England fan, someone watching Raheem Sterling, we've got a player there that could take us on to possibly win a World Cup and to do something that we've not managed to do since 1966. But the calibre of players, the talented young players as well, because they are very young. It seems quite exciting, and it feels like Raheem Sterling is in that leading line to take us on to some success.
100%. Raheem is one of the figureheads and a fixture in the starting lineup for England. I think he's proven that his impact in the England games, his contribution is second to none. For me, he's as important as any other player, probably the most important player, I think, because if anyone's having a bad game, he's still going to be fast. Even if it's not working out, he's still going to be faster than the person he's facing. So, and as a defender, you don't want to play against someone with that kind of speed because, as I said, you could be on top of him 90% of the game, and then at one split second you don't stay switched on. He's past you and you don't recover.
Obviously, depends on the games. But Phil Foden, does he make your England squad for the Euros next summer?
I think so. I think if he gets the valuable games to prove that he can sustain the consistency we've seen, because in a weird way, I want Phil to have a game when he doesn't score, because at the minute he's only ever because football isn't like that. We all know that you don't score and assist. Not everyone, obviously Messi and Ronaldo do that. You know what I mean? But Phil's like literally every other game. So if we could just see one of games where he just is effective, but not in the goal scoring aspect, because it's not gonna be like that forever. We're not going to see Phil score every game, and we've got to kind of be ready for that. But I just think as soon as Phil gets a run of games, he plays for England. It's just the fact that he hasn't played the 10, 20 games in a row that the reason why he's not in the squad.
Now let's bring it back to the game this evening. Liverpool, newly crowned champions. It's going to be a tough one, but actually it's going to be something that's exciting for these players to get out there and actually show the world that, from a Manchester City perspective, then yes, we did come second this season, but we've still got plenty more to play for. We've still got the FA Cup, as I said before, and the Champions League, which we're counting the days down to. This is a great moment for them to actually show the world that they're still Manchester City, that have dominated England over the past 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think City have lost any respect from anyone in regards to what they can do and who they can beat on any given day. And if they go on to win the FA Cup and the Champions League, this is a very successful season for Man City, arguably the most successful season they've had under Pep. What they've achieved in the previous couple of years has been remarkable, but we all know we want to win a Champions League. So if they can do that, I'm not saying it's going to define Pep's tenure or anything like that, but it can only enhance City's reputation worldwide, and Pep's obviously quality to showcase that he can take a group of players and beat the best in Europe.
Yeah, take them to that next level. Okay, next up is something that I enjoy very much. We do it and We're Not Really Here, is we ask our guests to put together a combined 11 of the team that we're playing. So this week it is City versus Liverpool. Joleon, we're going to begin with your combined 11. Yeah. So shall we see who you've gone for then?
Yes.
Let's have a ganders.
Yeah, so I went with Alisson in goal?
Yeah.
Did I choose
Alisson,
that?
Yeah,
I did, to be fair, and I think it was just because
He's doubting himself.
No, I know why. I remember writing the notes down. I'm thinking, I think Ederson hasn't had as good a season as he had previous. I think if he performs at the level he has done in previous seasons, I'll pick him. But I just think Alisson's maintained that consistency where Ederson hasn't had the consistent level this season. And then my back four was Robinson. I think out of all the fullbacks, the left backs available, he would be the guy. Virgil, obviously, and Aymeric Laporte. I think they picked themselves. This was the hardest decision, Trent and Walker.
Yeah.
I kind of went with a toss-up because I believe Kyle, he's now recognised again, he doesn't, it's virtually impossible to beat him if he just stands there and just says, go on then, let's have a race, or go on.
He's powerful, strong, and so
it's
fast.
ridiculous, yeah, and I think he's recognised that I don't have to, in a weird way, defend or tackle to be a good defender. I just have to be hard to beat, and he's made himself doing that. But obviously, the other way, Trent has created a kind of the new Cafu, as what people are knowing him as, and he's rightly so deserves a lot of credit. In midfield, I went with our lads really. I think it's picks themselves. I think Fabinho, top player in that role, and I think he would score, and he has scored a few more goals than Fernandinho, but that's my guy. I love Nando. Nando's my guy, so I can't go against him. And then, obviously, Magician. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to talk about him. I'm not even going to say his name either. And then KDB. Obviously, again, I think he picks himself. I think he goes into any team in the world. I think he's proven that the level he has set for midfielders is up there, and I don't think there's many that can match him. And then, again, in terms of goal, I like my number 9s to score goals, so I went with Sergio. And then I also like the balance of a left foot, right foot, so I went with Raheem and Mohamed Salah on the wings.
I mean, it's a frightening team. So
Did you actually pick a right back, or did you get yourself out of that? Because you said both names.
Yeah,
but
I
you
just
didn't
give them both credit. I said, go on.
So which one are you going? You're not going to upset anyone here, no? You're not.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't think you're disappointed if any of them are available.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I might going to have to make a decision.
Yeah, you make a decision.
I know what mine would have been.
Okay.
It would have been Kyle for me, only because there's a fight and there's a guile that Kyle brings to the team that I haven't seen Trent showcase yet. And I think, say that goal line clearance that he did against Newcastle, that epitomises what Kyle Walker
100%.
is about.
In his defence, Trent's defence, and I don't know why I'm defending him when he's played for Liverpool, but he hasn't had to.
Fairs.
He hasn't had to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he can do that, but I just don't think he's come up with a team or an opponent that's kind of had to do that yet.
Yeah, he's had to find it. Kyle.
All right, so I'm going to have to make a few changes, I think, after listening to that one. Right, so starting in net, I thought Ederson. Ederson's he's got to actually start. I'd love to see him and his distribution actually with the speed of who I've got up front. And then on the right, I
Teased
did
us
go
well
with,
there, by the way.
What's that?
You teased us well.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it away just yet. On the right, I'm going to go with Trent. I just think that what we've seen him do and his actual crossing ability and his distribution as well is fantastic. But like you said, Kyle Walker, the speed, the power, the strength. Kyle, if you're watching, I'd still pick you. All right, I'm not nothing bad, nothing negative. Then
Your name's Kyle Walker, man. You have to go for him.
Jesus.
in the middle, we had Virgil van Dijk, also Aymeric Laporte. I'd love to see those two together. And then on the left,
blue shirt,
of course, Robertson. And then moving into midfield, we had the exact same one: David Silva, Fernandinho, Kevin De Bruyne. They picked themselves. I wouldn't have anyone in the world over those three, I don't think. And then up front, Sterling and Aguero. But I went with Mane. I think Mane this season has had a more consistent performance week in, week out, but he can score and he's fast and he just feels like he's really coming to his own. Everyone talks about him and Salah together, but I feel like Mane now is really coming into his own as his own player, and I think he'd be brilliant.
100%, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think if Mane's more effective in that sense for Liverpool, and I think he's kind of their guy that is their Sterling that the manager picks more often than not. But I just like left foot, right foot combinations, and Sterling was in the team, so there's room for a left footer.
I'm a big fan with both your midfields there, because as much as I think Jordan Henderson is great, I don't think you can compare what Fernandinho and De Bruyne do in the team compared to what Henderson does.
I just don't think he's asked to do that. I think he can do. He's great at what he's asked to do, and that's bring the energy box to box and kind of contribute in other areas. But in one specific role, he's not asked to do that. So got a lot of respect for all of them and what they've achieved. But yeah, as you said, that midfield for us in what we want our teams to do And that's why I might even go for Kyle Walker right back, because I don't want my fullbacks to get forward and make goals. Defend, keep a clean sheet. I've got them three up front. I've got Sergio up there.
That's true.
We've got a couple of fans that we can hear from now that gave us their thoughts on tonight's game.
Hi there, my name is Thiago Marinho. I live in Salvador, state of Bahia, Brazil, and I'm a City supporter since 2008. It's kind of funny the way I became a City fan in the first place. Back in 2007, I went to Dublin to study English. I used to work at this place, at the tracks, the dogs racing. It's a very common thing in Dublin. Almost all my clients, they supported Man United or Chelsea. And I thought that was very annoying, you know, so I just decided to pick another team. Robinho, as you guys would say, the Brazilian, signed for City. So I decided to watch Robinho play and then realize how good the Premier League was. That was the beginning of my passion for Man City, and when I realized I was booking my tickets to go to the Etihad Stadium, I went there in 2010, buying my first jerseys, and that was it. After that I came back to Brazil, and I don't miss some game anymore. Most of citizen supporters here in Brazil adore Ederson, Fernandinho and Jesus. They truly represent us. Regarding Liverpool comparisons, Alisson versus Ederson is a tough one. I would pick Ederson because of his skills with his feet. Fernandinho versus Fabinho. This one, with all due respect to Fabinho, who is a great player, there's nothing to say. What Fernandinho has done for City is just too much. You can't compare. Jesus versus Firmino. I would say I think they have different styles of play. You know, Firmino lives a better moment right now, but I'm sure Gabriel Jesus will step up for us. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and come on, City.
Thank you, Thiago. You've caused quite the conversation here in the studio about picking Firmino there. Interesting choice, but we appreciate you getting in touch, and you can do just the same and send us some clips, and you might make it on tonight's show. If you have just tuned in, this is We're Not Really Here. I'm joined by Joleon Lescott and Kyle Walker. We were just speaking then, and there was one player mentioned, Robinho, who, of course, you were at the club when he was here. I mean, that was a massive moment for us as City fans. I met him in the Trafford Centre, you know. I've got a picture on my Facebook with me and our kid with Robinho, and our smiles are like, this is unbelievable, you know. What was it like when he was here?
Well, obviously he was here before me, so I was kind of in awe when I arrived and I see Robinho, like the other lads that were coming at that time, like Carlos and them boys. They were in the Prem, so I kind of you come across them and you'd seen them, and it was great. But it was.
I love that you say Carlos and them boys. You know, just like
Carlos and them boys. You know what I mean? Them guys.
Sorry, Johnny, you dropped a few.
Kid and that. No, but like Robinho, I was like. Because that was like R9 Real Madrid time, so seeing that was like a big thing, you know what I mean? And obviously I'm into computer games, so you're using Robinho on your computer games to kind of get the best out of it. So that was kind of a big thing for me. And what a guy, what a so humble person to just be around. We said off air that we do believe probably 6 months, a year too early for what he was bringing to the Premier League and Man City. But I think if he joined the kind of era of the Carloses and the Adebayors and all the lads in the Yaya Tourés, where they're coming from similar-sized clubs to here, he can then understand what it meant to kind of give everything to Man City.
Now, over the years, we have seen some world-class players. Yaya Touré's been a name that everyone's been talking about this week, but somebody else that I've been watching and looking at him and thinking maybe he's quite similar to, we'll come on to a little bit later on, Kevin De Bruyne, in terms of the power, the strength, but also the technical ability. That's something I want to talk about with Yaya Touré, because it's 10 years since he signed for Manchester City, but what a game changer that was. For him to be able to command the midfield, to grab the game by the scruff of its neck when you needed a goal, and to score so many goals in that 13-14 season as well. Unbelievable,
and that's the thing. And again, this is why for me, Yaya's that guy, because we've seen Kevin score a world-class free kick against Chelsea, but we lose. Yaya, that didn't happen with Yaya. If Yaya played well, which Kevin did play well, we won the game. And I don't ever remember thinking, Yaya was unreal tonight, and being disappointed that we've lost the game. It just didn't happen. He just controlled the whole game. It was just, I can do everything. If I really want to do everything, I will do everything, and we will win this game. And that's what separates Kevin. I think Kevin is on the way to being that guy. I think if he continues this level for, 5 or 6 years, which David has, Yaya did, and Sergio have, and Vincent, I think he goes down in history as one of the greatest players Man City have. But for me, Yaya Toure, especially that season when he got 20 goals, that doesn't happen.
No.
That doesn't happen.
And there was the speech that Vincent gave him in his final game, I thought summarised it perfectly. You know, big players, his big moments, and he just rolled through them. The semi-final, the final, the QPR game, the derbies, Yaya Toure every time. And actually it brings us nicely onto a conversation that I wanted to have, which is about individual accolades, because that's a player that never got the Premier League Player of the Season. Same as Sergio Aguero has been overlooked. It seems to be that City players are constantly overlooked. And I pulled out my phone, which I wouldn't do on a live, because I actually screenshotted this the other day. It was Yaya Toure's stats, for the 13 to 14 season. So as you said, he got those 20 goals, 13 set pieces attempted, 10 set piece goals out of them, 9 assists, 40 chances created. He made 2,500 passes with a 90% passing accuracy throughout the whole season. Didn't get Player of the Year. What is it about a player playing for City that gets overlooked?
Because I think the great players that play for City don't demand attention. Like, you look at David, like, has he been in one team of the season?
Once.
Never mind Player of the Year. One team of the season. Like, ridiculous. Sergio, I don't think he's been in many. I think he's been in more recently. But they don't crave or demand the attention outside of these four walls. And I think that plays a massive part in how you're perceived. Like, Yaya is only perceived negatively, say, by agent comments and stuff like that. But you never really heard him speak. He never kind of wanted any attention, any media. And that was what he was like in the dressing room. He never kind of said, I'm the guy, or kind of said this was how it is. He just went about his business, a bit like David. And I think that can play a part, because we know footballers now have an image to and a persona to live up to that general public and media kind of portray them as. But the lads don't want that. So they were never going to kind of get that, because if you're not mentioned in the conversation, because you're not mentioning the conversation, people kind of forget about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Yeah, and I was just going to add to that, and actually, as a fan's perspective and thinking about someone like Yaya Toure, you felt like he could win you that game. And as you said, you never came off the pitch thinking, oh, he was great tonight, but we lost. When he was great, you won. And that's what it felt like. And maybe this season it's not really gone our way, but there has been times where I've looked at the players on the pitch and I've thought, oh, we nearly were there, we nearly managed to get it. And as you said, one player that I do want to talk about is Kevin De Bruyne, because actually, if he's there for the next 3 or 4 years, he could reach the levels that Yaya Toure, the David Silvas, also the Sergio Agueros as well, that actually they got to. And he's one player that seems to give it all on the pitch, but he makes it look so effortless.
That is the skill. And what you've got to recognise is that players can do great things, but the consistency that he does them at sets him apart. Like, you will see great goals from other people and great passes, but not every game, not every half. He's doing it all the time. He's creating chances when they're not really opportunities. There was a ball he played in the Chelsea game, and I'm thinking, I know you can see, let me see. And he played, I was like, I don't think people appreciate what that pass was, unless you played the game and the defender nearly got there, because he's thinking, I can get that, because you can't really play. And he managed to get it to David Silva. He was a slightly ball behind him, but I'm thinking, just to even see and play is remarkable. But like Carl said, if he continues the level he's set and the standard he's set through his entire time at Man City, and whether hopefully it's another 4 or 5 years, he will go down as an all-time great. And I just think that's the only bit that separates him, is that lads have done it for longer, not that they've done more or less.
Now, it was his birthday just gone when we played Newcastle in the FA Cup, and what a performance it was. Again, it feels like he's able to just put these performances on, and it feels like the opposition, Kel, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to stop someone like Kevin De Bruyne.
No, it's not, and it's like Joleon says, if you're coming up against a player that seems to be able to do the unplayable and actually is also lifting the team and just dictating play, I don't know really as an opposition what you can do. It's like you're coming up against your Messis and stuff. Sometimes you just have to go, you're on a different
100%.
wavelength.
You literally have to say, yeah, you can do that. Okay, I can't. So, and a team I was playing for, and we were playing Man City, and we had a midfielder, good midfielder, and he liked to set traps. He liked to give players opportunities to play the ball and then intercept it and read it. I said, don't do that against these. Don't do that against David, because he will get there. I said, if you give him the opportunity to play that pass, it will get to where it's going, or where he wants it to go. And we come off the pitch, he said, I've never seen that. I didn't know that was possible. And I'm like, that's what these boys do. They actually, if it's on, it's going to happen, and it's crazy.
So one player you mentioned there, which we have to talk about, is of course our magician Merlin, the best player that I've ever seen in a Manchester City shirt, David Silva. Joleon, you played with him, and I think you're the only person I've met who has played with him. What is he like to play with?
It's still not explainable unless you've actually felt the difference that he plays the game at, the speed. Like, whatever you're good at, whatever industry, walk of life you feel you are good at, his attribute is time. So I believe that 1v1, I could understand the body position or body shape of a forward, and you kind of read the way he was going. He just must have seen the game so slow. Have you seen, what's the film I would say, The Wild, when the squirrel takes the Red Bull and he's going through the house and everything's in slow motion, and he's just like, that's David Silva. He must see the game so slow, but it's just like going on around him. He's like, okay, let me just get it here, and I'll turn there, and I'll pass it there, and I'll get it back. Because you got to think, I don't think I've seen anyone tackle him. I think he gives the ball away now and again, but I don't think he's ever in a position where someone closes him down or someone's close enough to tackle him.
Now, that's playing with him. What about against him? Because you did face him 5 times,
Yeah.
and I'm going to blow you up a little bit here because Man City beat you 4 of those times when he was playing.
As expected.
But then with England, you did beat him,
There you go.
his Spanish team. But what is it like playing against him? Because, as you said, he sees everything differently, and there's a reason why we say he can get so much space. He can find space in every opportunity, but also there's a reason why we say that he can play all of these passes, and he is the magician.
Oh, his touch is remarkable. His ability to just absorb the ball. It's like his foot is a pillow. It's like how hard you hit the ball at him, it's just soft. It just relaxes on his foot. And that game when I'll talk about the England game when we won, there was him, Iniesta, and Xavi in midfield, and he was up front. He was playing up front. There was no striker. This is when he used to play up front for Spain, and I couldn't get near any of them. And there was rotating, and I'm thinking, let me go and try and step in, and it was just like, nah, just like we're here, but we're not really here. So just get away from us. And it was just like, you play with these. There's people like you. There's others like you. That was crazy.
Do you know what, though, listening, you kind of go, when you mention 3 players like that, actually go, oh, well done for even playing against them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You lasted the game.
And we won.
Yeah,
1-0.
you did win. You did win. There's a great, I can't remember who said it, but it's always stuck with me, where someone described David Silva talking about him was going, you couldn't tackle him in a phone box.
No,
I love that.
literally, he injured me, and he had the ball. He's got the ball in training, and he's just pivoted. And as I said, this is how we must see it so slow. He's just turned, and I've tried to mimic his movement because obviously he's got the ball, and I've realised I can't do it that smooth or that fast. And I've had to come off injured. I've had to say, nah, that hurt. I'm coming off.
When you've got players like that in your team, you must be full of so much confidence of who's in front of you when they've got the ball, actually, that you feel like, well, they're going to create something. They're going to create that moment of magic. They're going to be there for you when you need them in those dying minutes of a game when you do need a goal. And it must just make you watch this game and go, wow, this is incredible.
100%. Like I talked about Yaya, and he'd be the best player because he wins you the game. But the best footballer, definitely David Silva. And there's a difference between the two. And what people don't recognise, when David first come, we played 4-4-2, and he was playing on the left wing, and he was just creating a new way to play left winger or left midfield even. He used to come in and he used to say to me, when you get the ball here, pass it there. I will be there by the time the ball gets there. And I was like, huh? That doesn't really make sense. And he used to be in behind someone. I'd look down to pass it, and I could just see him moving, and I'd just pass it there, and he would just receive it, and I'd be like, exactly whatever he told me to do, just pass it there. As long as it gets past him, I'll be there to pick it up.
He feels like one of those players. We talked about Edison before, changing the role of the goalkeeper. It felt like he came in and changed the role of what an attacking midfielder was, and that first goal of his against Blackpool just summed it up perfectly, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think he had a slowish start, But I think, in fairness to him, that was off the back of a World Cup win. So he missed pre-season, so that kind of played catch up, and then he come, and obviously I think that's when he kick-started his kind of career at City, because I think that's probably the most animated we've seen David Silva ever. And it's a goal. Imagine what he's achieved since he's been here. And the most animated we've seen him is a goal against Blackpool away from home. He took off his shirt and spread it around. So I think that was a bit of relief for him as well. But we'd seen it. Me and Sean did probably question when he first arrived, was he going to be able to play in the Premier League due to the way he wanted to play and the way the Premier League was? But there's no question now that he will go down in Premier League history.
People talk about his size, people talk about his stature, people talk about actually him as a person, but then they said you might not be able to do it in the Premier League, and now look at him 10 years later, we could make the argument that he's the greatest midfielder we've ever seen in the Premier League.
Definitely, I think, because the consistency, again, I don't not necessarily say he's done things we haven't seen, but he hasn't done anything else. He's only done that. He's only played well. He hasn't been a spell where you thought he needs a rest. And he's had things that have happened in his life that have kind of impacted that, and he's impacted his training. And I'm here to play football. And as I said, he doesn't want no attention. So that's probably why he doesn't get the recognition he deserves.
And that assist against Manchester United on the turn, the volley for Dzeko, I think it was just... wow. I've never looked at someone and said, what's he going to do? And then he pulls that out the bag and you didn't expect it, nobody saw it, and then you score that goal.
The thing is, what was crazy is that him and probably Edin had an understanding that he didn't have with Sergio, he doesn't have with Sergio. They just had a crazy understanding.
Wow,
and
really, yeah.
Edin loved when he played in the middle, and obviously David loved to play there, but he didn't play there that often as we would have liked to in the early years. But they just had a mad understanding, and Edin used to make runs, and David had the capability to find him. So that pass didn't surprise us, but the technique shown is remarkable.
It's outrageous. If you ever just want to cheer yourself up, just put in a David Silva highlight reel. 2, 5, 10 minutes, you'll have the best
There's a game
time.
that probably people don't remember. We played Inter Milan in the pre-season. The year we won the league. That was the game when we knew he was different to everyone else. He played actually number 10, and it was like, that was the Inter team that had done stuff. They had gone out, I think they'd won the treble. We beat them. But in that game, him alone, he plays a pass in that game. I don't even think the pass is as width, the angle is as wide as the ball. So I don't even know how it got through there, but it's remarkable.
Question for you both, because this is a conversation that happens a lot in our household, is who is his successor? Is it Bernardo or is it Phil Foden?
I'll let Joleon start with that one. You go with that one, mate.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, it is, and I think we all want it to be Phil. I think we all want it to be Phil, but I think it's going to be Bernardo in the short term. Long term, it's definitely going to be Phil, I think, because he has that. But I think Bernardo is closer to David's style.
Yes, yeah.
I think so. You can see earlier. I think Phil, what he can do, and it's random to say this, there's things Phil can do that David can't do, which is weird to say. But he invites contact. I think he goes past people differently to David. David receives the ball past him and you don't get back, where Phil might just face you up and go past you. So I think if we're looking in terms of a comparison to styles, I think it's Bernardo, but I think even in effectiveness, I think it's going to be Phil. On the long term, it's going to be Phil.
It's a nice problem to have, isn't it?
It is, and I think actually it's very easy as City fans to look back at the past 10 years, look at the team that won that first Premier League for us, and think of all the heroes that we've had just in our lifetime at this club, and think, oh, how do we get any better than that? How do we keep up with other people as well? But it's actually quite positive looking at the youngsters that we've got on the bench that are featuring and slowly being drip-fed into this first team as well. These next 10 years are going to be extremely exciting.
Oh, definitely. And again, this is why the younger lads need a lot more credit than they're given. Like, City are in a position to buy the best 3 to 5 best players in the world in their positions. And you've got people like Phil coming through, Eric Garcia, Harwood Taylor-Bellis coming through. So they need a lot of credit, and on the flip side, you've also got to understand you're not going to get as many as other clubs have, as the Chelsea's have, because I'm sure, if no disrespect to Chelsea, if we were only fighting to get into the Champions League, the calibre of player that you're trying to sign is not the same, and also you have a lot more opportunities to give players positions and opportunities to play.
We're not too far away from kickoff, so before we do, let's just get us all a little bit excited and remind ourselves what went down at the weekend. Here's some highlights from when City took on Newcastle at St James's Park.
KDB plays that across. Somehow he's found David Silva, and now Mahrez over the top. Mendy into the box, falls loose here. Walker will try and put it back across. It's a low drive from him and it finds its way wide. David Silva with the last touch. Better in the box than his own defenders. This is a curling effort wide. Into the centre. Sterling's trying to bring it down. It's set up. Sterling turns, fires off a shot. It's another save. City laying siege to the box. The ball swung in, there's a push there. And Gabriel Jesus, the man down. Bundled down, and it is going to be a penalty kick. Kevin De Bruyne rolls it into the net. City take the lead. It is no less than they deserve. Outswinger. Towards goal, but it's wide from Aymeric Laporte. The ball's been given away here by Otamendi. Put a ball across, and somehow Newcastle missed the chance to equalise. By Sterling, curling shot from him. Sterling makes it 2-0. Well, after a moment of worry for Manchester City.
Welcome back to We're Not Really Here, the show that brings you as close to the action as possible in just over 5 minutes. City and Liverpool are going to be walking out onto the pitch out there. We know we wish we could all be there, but we're here in spirit.
Yes, we are, and what's exciting is we're going to see this game unfold, but also they're going to have to do a guard of honour, Man City. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this. Joleon, as a former player, how would you feel having to give the newly crowned champions your well, the nearest rivals?
Yeah, newly crowned champions. I wouldn't mind.
Okay.
Liverpool, I wouldn't mind. Nah, but it's just a matter of respect. It's done by other teams, and it's not something that City have been made to do. Obviously, they've kind of lived up to tradition and said, yeah, we'll do that. So fair play to Pep. And I expected nothing less. I didn't expect them to say no, or Liverpool to say, well, we don't want that kind of thing. They deserve it. Let's give them credit. They've won the league and they've kind of earned that right to kind of have this honour. But as I said, it's here for a game of football. I'm just excited to see what the end goal produces.
One man that we will be seeing this evening is Kevin De Bruyne. We saw his performance against Newcastle in the FA Cup, and it wasn't just the Blues who were impressed by his performance, because Newcastle manager Steve Bruce, well, he had a bit to say about him as well.
So Kevin, good performance today, and that's us into the FA Cup semi-final. What are your thoughts on the way we played?
I think we played really well today. I think we dominated the game. We were really good in possession, but also defensively our shape was good. And except the one mistake that we make in the second half, I think we played perfectly.
Pretty well.
We could have scored more, but yeah, we won.
He's going to stay here. He's going to stay here and come here. Okay. That's exclusive out of Newcastle tonight. He's had enough of Manchester City, and he's going to come and play Newcastle. Okay. I'm okay. You okay? Yeah. Hold on.
Hands off, Steve Bruce.
Oh, yeah, social distancing.
Yeah, I was going to say. Social distancing there. Get him away from Kevin De Bruyne there.
Didn't have a mask on either.
So not far away from kickoff. Final thing for us to talk about is predictions for the game. Joleon, we'll begin with you. What are you thinking?
It's going to be tight. I think there's going to be a bit more respect shown to Liverpool tonight from City. I don't think the pressing game is going to be as imminent as the Newcastle game. So I'm going to go with 2-1.
2-1.
I said before, I've been saying 3-1 Manchester City all week. So, yeah, I've put it out there, put it on socials, I've put it out here as well. So let's see what happens, and let's see what the comments are after the game. Make sure you use that hashtag WNRH and let us know your thoughts on that prediction from me.
I'm buzzing, that's why I'm in the middle, you see. I just ask for the predictions. Yeah. Well, that's what we like, though, because either way, it's going to be a City win, fingers crossed. You come join us at half-time. We hopefully might have Cheeky, who can talk us through how the first half has played out, and then we'll be back as well at full time to bring you our post-match thoughts and hopefully talking about a City victory. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We'll see you back at half time. Come on, City.
times, but he started 11 for